Welcome, everybody. Today is Wednesday, August 13th. This is Binghamton City Council meeting.
I don't hear anything.
No. There's nothing.
You remember? I don't know how old everyone is, but do you remember like the TVs, like the old school TVs that were like black and white and like that noise sounds just like that? Yes. It reminds me of, come on. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. It's reminded me of the poltergeist. Like that noise. Bop, bop.
Test, test, test,
Nope.
test, test, test,
How?
test, test. Test, 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 test.
I have my mic on too. Oh yeah. Now we're working.
Hello.
Yeah.
I guess so. All right, we're going to try this again. Welcome, everybody. Today is Wednesday, August 13th. This is Binghamton City Council business meeting. It is 6:12, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Murray is absent. Councilmember Middleton,
Present.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Present.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Present.
Councilmember Rathmel,
Present.
Councilmember Matavetsky is absent. Council President Dundon.
Present.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to approve the last meeting's minutes, please?
I'll make the motion. Oh, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor to approve the minutes?
Aye.
No one opposed? Motion passes. Do we have any reports from any committees or boards?
The Legislative Committee of the Commission for the Conservation of the Environment held a meeting last week. Our guest was Acting Commissioner of the Department of Public Works, Joshua Paludi, and the item on the agenda for discussion was the blue bag policy that the city currently maintains. Members had several questions internally, but also from other residents that have raised questions and concerns. So that back and forth is on our YouTube channel.
Does anybody else have anything to report from a committee?
Yep. The Human Rights Commission met, and the conversation primarily was to review the bylaws, which have been submitted to Corporation Council for review, and I think they've been revised and will most likely be approved at the next commission meeting.
Can I ask you a quick question on those? Is that a thing we can do? So I gave a quick review to the draft bylaws. Was the local law 2404 unhoused status as a protected class, was that added into the bylaws language?
I would have to double check.
Okay.
I don't know if the bylaws have all the language from the charter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would just request that that gets added as a protected class.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? None? Seeing we don't have to set any public hearings and we don't have a public hearing tonight, we'll move on to public comment. Residents wishing to submit public comment may do so electronically by emailing their comments prior to 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting to clerk@cityofbinghamton.gov or in person during the meeting. Is there anybody in person that would like to come down for public comment? Seeing none, do we have any public comments that were emailed in that need to be read into the record? Moving on to first read legislation. This is introductory ordinance 025-45 considered in finance, and I will hand it over to Councilmember Kavanaugh.
I'd like to motion to pass ordinance 025-45, an ordinance to amend the 2025 CDBG budget to increase fire department equipment funding.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
We've This we've had a few weeks of discussion about the kind of mechanism of this funding. I am in support of the funding itself. It's necessary turnout gear for the fire department, and replacing one out of service and one aging medical fly response car, two medical kind of response fly cars. I think there's a need to spend down previous year's CDBG money that is sitting around. And we can only use it on capital expenses, which this is needed and necessary. And otherwise, we're going to be looking at just putting it in the normal budget coming up. So I think this is a reasonable use of the money.
Anyone else?
Yeah, we did. I mean, we did have quite a bit of back and forth on this. Not necessarily the need itself, but whether or not CDBG was the best source of funding to tap for the equipment. I think we know the ask is technically eligible within HUD regulations. We had some differences of opinion when it came to the use of federal dollars that are intended to support human services and housing in low-income neighborhoods on this kind of equipment when other grants are available. But in that back and forth, and Councilmember Kavanaugh, you alluded to this, one of the reasons that Mayor Cram presented for using this money is the need to spend down CDBG dollars in light of implications at the federal level that unspent funding would be clawed back. I do agree with that as a concern, but I think if we're going to consider that threat, we need to look at what else is at risk of being rescinded and needs to be spent down. And the first thing that comes to my mind is the $386,000 in ARPA funding that this council awarded to Southern Door Community Land Trust in December. I mean, I think we're all aware, but for those watching, it's been over 8 months. And Southern Door has not yet been able to access that funding because of a restriction that Mayor Cram added to their contract that requires them to raise at least 70% of the total project costs before drawing down funds. So that restriction essentially made the agreement a reimbursable award rather than in advance, which is not a federal requirement and was also not applied to any other recipient of ARPA city dollars. So if Mayor Cram wants to prioritize spending down federal funds at risk of rescission for this ask, then I would want to also see an executed contract with Southern Door that amends their agreement to advance the funding. So it's no longer at risk and they can move forward with their project. So I'd like to motion to hold Ordinance 2545 over for that commitment to be made prior to putting this to a vote.
Well, it was brought to the floor that we have a motion to hold over. Do we have a second for a holdover?
Second.
Having a motion and a second for a holdover, this ordinance will be held over to the following business meeting. Moving on, introductory. You have something to say, Councilmember Kavanaugh?
I mean, Mayor Cram has consistently been discussing the risk of federal clawback. And I think that is absolutely a concern I share. I think we're all sharing. And so I do think that same concern, that same policy should logically apply to the Southern Door grant not being refundable or not being reimbursable, but being sent out the door sooner rather than later. I agree with that. I'm not personally in favor of holding up this funding in order to do that, but I respect the process.
Yeah.
So I think we'll hopefully get some motion on one and be able to move on this by the next meeting.
My sentiments are with you also. I feel like it really, I'm nervous about the funding, missing out on things, but I feel like we need to get this done. I don't necessarily want to hold this over because they need it all the fire department needs this, but I do understand why you want to dig into it and what we need to do with it. I really find it weird that this is the only, you know, Southern Door Land Trust is the only entity that had that restriction on a contract, which I feel like is unfair and wrong. So if we can try to make it right for them, we're really holding up housing on that aspect, and that definitely will help some families in the city. So
We will be moving on to introductory ordinance 025-49, considered in Public Works, and I'll hand it over to Councilmember Hotchkiss.
I'd like to make the motion to adopt introductory ordinance 025-49. This is an ordinance to amend the 2025 DPW budget to increase overtime and materials.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Discussion, please.
So this is to account for the large amounts of overtime that DPW's workers had experienced in cleaning up all the storm damage that happened. They put a lot of time into that and a lot of overtime, and there's also a lot of anticipated overtime throughout the rest of the year. So they're looking to adjust some budget lines to cover the anticipated cost of overtime.
I mean, we had a harder than hoped for winter,
mhm.
plus the storm, plus future. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Rathmel,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Councilmember Matavetsky is absent. Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Murray is absent. Council President Dundon.
Aye.
Thank you. That's 5-0.
Moving on to introductory ordinance 025-50, considered in finance, and I'll hand it over to Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Okay. I'd like to motion to pass 025-50, an ordinance to amend the 2025 capital fund budget to fund fiscal advisor fees.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second. Discussion, please.
This is essentially to cover the fact that we did a second bond last year, but it was not in last year's budget. So we do need to pay fiscal advisors and some other assorted fees, publication and such associated with that bond.
Anyone else? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Rathmel,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Councilmember Matavetsky is absent. Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton, Councilmember Murray is absent. Council President Dundon.
Aye.
I think it's 5-0.
Moving on to introductory ordinance 025-51, considered in finance, and I'll hand it over to Councilmember Kavanaugh.
I'd like to motion to pass 025-51, an ordinance to amend the 2025 capital fund budget to adjust for police vehicle repairs.
I'll
Wait.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion, please.
We discussed this in work session. We've had some rather unfortunate tolls on our police vehicle fleet, not just the police vehicle fleet, but in this case, the police vehicle fleet. They've exceeded their repair budget for the year. These are transfers. Now these are transfers to cover those extra parts and repairs and get those vehicles back out on the road.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to add?
Nope.
Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Rathmel,
No.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Councilmember Matavetsky is absent. Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Murray is absent. Council President Dundon.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 4-1.
Moving on to introductory resolution R25-48, considered in municipal and public affairs, and I'll hand it over to Councilmember Middleton.
Thank you, President Dundon. This is, I'd like to make a motion for RL 25-48, a resolution to accept funding from the Office of the District Attorney for community-based policing.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second the motion. Having a motion and a second. Discussion, please.
Well, thank you, President Dundon. So basically, this is all counties received money from the district attorney to help fund with policing, so that way the city doesn't have to pay for that. So that's the cops that we see in the park and at different events on bikes and walking patrol. So this is just to cover the funding for that through the district attorney.
Is my understanding is that this is money that's already been spent that's being
It
in like 2023, FY
no,
2023.
hold on. This is the one
Did you
from
cover the spending in? There was,
no,
I think those were the JAG ones.
okay.
no, that was the
Right?
those no, that's not those
Oh.
ones. Those are the other ones that were on the agenda for Monday.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
The 10,000 from each municipal got 10,000.
I know that I had a lot to say on Monday about this and the other policing RLs. I think after 20 years in the homeless services sector, watching President Trump declare martial law on homeless people in parks in DC, and then looking at our agenda to find all of these RLs was a bit more than I was honestly able to process. You all were very gracious on Monday. I appreciate that. And I'm grateful that y'all were willing to hear me out. I do still need to reiterate that I ideologically and factually disagree with this ordinance's claim that additional patrols will improve community relations and provide safer communities. I mean, the most effective way to improve community relations is for municipal leadership to hold law enforcement officers accountable for misconduct. And without that, increasing bike and foot patrols means nothing. I think given the current state of the Binghamton Police Department and Mayor Cram's persistent failure to address residents and even officers' concerns about the culture within the department, Binghamton is incredibly far from being a municipality in which community policing initiatives can be claimed to have been conducive to safer neighborhoods. This to me is just another example of this administration prioritizing the perception of public safety over actually preventing crime and throwing more and more money at BPD without addressing the lack of transparency and accountability that currently has Chief Sikorsky on administrative leave again is not responsible leadership.
Does anyone else have anything they would like to add? Hearing none, Madam
No,
Clerk, can we,
sorry,
oh,
I put my hand up. Yep. Yeah, no, I know. When, in regards to the funding, this piece of funding, and when we get to it, the other grant funds that are coming through, I take a very, I guess, nuts and bolts on the ground view of it is in that essentially the budget of the police department is costing us a certain amount of money every year. There's a certain number of patrols that have to be out there, a certain number of cars every shift. When we have more people in parks and more people at events during the warmer months, that's extra people that need to be out there. Could BPD be doing a better job at that? Could there be cultural shifts? Could there be many things that are extremely important to talk about long term? Yes. But in the meantime, I take the view that this is a budget item that needs to be covered. And when there's another source of funding that's willing to come in and pay for that, or part of that, that is not directly out of, it's all indirectly taxpayer money, but is not directly from the, City of Binghamton tax, then I think if it's not, for a morally outrageous purpose, I think it's incumbent upon us to take that and apply it to what we're already doing. I think that's simply fiscally responsible behavior on our part. If and when a grant comes through that is for a purpose that I find disagreeable or morally become morally uncomfortable with, then yes, I would certainly support standing up and not taking that money and speaking out publicly. I don't think these funds are that. I think they're for a generally good purpose that we can certainly work on executing better, but it's also a hole in our budget. So that's my stand.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to add?
Bringing up the budget is certainly relevant. And I think it's worth noting that BPD's budget has increased by 3 million since 2020 and is on track to continue increasing by at least 1 million moving forward, like at some point, and that's without demonstrating any efficacy when it comes to these initiatives that they're claiming will make improvements and increase public safety. It's at what point, where is the limit? At what point do we stop funding something that is not working and demand accountability and transparency before we continue to throw more money at BPD?
Anyone else? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Rathmel,
No.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Aye.
Councilmember Matavetsky is absent. Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Murray is absent. Council President Dundon.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 4-1.
Introductory Resolution R25-49, considered an employees, and I'll hand this over to Councilmember Middleton.
Oh, I didn't know I was doing that. Thank you, President Dundon. Oh, I figured. Give me 1 second. Sorry. I'd like to make a motion for RL 25-49, a resolution authorizing the city clerk and deputy clerk salary increase.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion, please.
Thank you, President Dundon. So this is basically an increase for our clerks and our deputy clerks. Excuse me, I wasn't ready for that. It's a salary increase. Even with the salary increase, we know that the clerks work very hard, and even with the salary increase, they would be underpaid. So that's just kind of my opinion with that. Anybody else?
I just want to have this put on the record. Madam Clerk, when you were coming up with these numbers, you did double check with all the municipalities around, and it did show for the most part that City of Binghamton had the lowest paid clerk's office, correct?
So we did do a comp with surrounding municipalities, but ultimately it was very difficult to match up duties of municipal clerks. And so the more useful comp that we thought was within this building to measure department head salaries. And even with this potential salary raise, if you all approve it, we would be at the lower end of deputies and department heads within this building.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else have anything they would like to add to the discussion?
I just want to reiterate what I said again. In what you said too, even with that, you're still being underpaid, even with a salary increase.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that it's pretty clear that at least with this council and our approach to governance, that it puts additional strain on the resources of the clerk's office in ways that are probably didn't happen in previous with previous councils. So their responsibilities have increased pretty dramatically. So I think it's appropriate for the salary increase on top of all the other comparisons with our own department heads and also the clerk's offices around different municipalities.
Anyone else? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, do a roll call, please.
Councilmember Rathmel,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Aye.
Councilmember Matavetsky is absent, Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember
Aye.
Middleton, Councilmember Murray is absent, Council President Dundon.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 5-0.
Next is communications from council, and we'll start in the reverse order, and I will start with Councilmember Rathmel tonight.
I don't have any communications. Thank you.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Just would like to plug, there's a Vines block party happening tomorrow night from 5 to 7. They have great food. They're highlighting their youth program that's down at their headquarters on Tudor Street. So that's tomorrow night, and it has 2 great vendors from the north side, Big Zeus and Happy Pappy Arepas. So I encourage anybody to go to that event. It's a great organization and great vendors. That's all. That's all for tonight.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Kavanaugh.
I'm good, thanks.
Councilmember Middleton.
2 things. Tomorrow there is going to be a meet and greet to talk to people at the park. I will be there. Councilmember Kavanaugh will be there at 6 o'clock, right?
Recreation Park.
Rec. Thank you. Recreational
Like
park.
clearly the park, like it's the
The
only
park.
park in
Oh,
the city.
it is the greatest park. Sorry.
Debatable.
But it's going to be at Rec Park tomorrow at 6 o'clock. So come down and talk to us. Then were you going to say something?
Speaking, I didn't mean to interrupt, but speaking of
Okay.
parks, do you want to mention the town hall on the 9th?
Oh yeah,
September 9th?
I thought we mentioned that in our last one, but I'll mention that again. Yeah, that's fine. I'll mention it all the time. I have one more before that
Sure,
because
sorry.
something else is coming up. I just wanted to remind a few things. This Saturday, I think there is the Trailer Truth with Truth Farm. I think that's going to be downtown. Is that right at around the courthouse? Is that where that is? I think. Yes, it's going to be Saturday. It starts at 1 o'clock. Also, Porchfest is coming up, so I just wanted to remind everyone to come out to Porchfest. That is August 31st. And one more thing before that, our community barbecue is having something which is hosted by Kenny Brown. He's asking for donations. You can check on his website or reach out to him on his Facebook regarding donations. And last, we are having Reverend DeMond spoke. Reverend DeMond spoke a few work sessions ago regarding renaming Columbus Park. We are having a meeting on September 9th, Tuesday, September 9th from 6 to 8 at St. Mary's Rec Center. So I hope to see everybody there. And that is it.
I have nothing to communicate, so can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion and a
I'll second.
motion and a second. All in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.